It kind of started all crazy.
So before we even got married, we got pregnant with the twins, and that was just kind of when we were dating for quite a while, so it was still a blessing and something we were really excited about. But it quickly turned into marriage planning, and then me finishing school. We were both working multiple jobs, so everything was just extremely busy.
There was
Effort.
nothing put into like us or anything. It was just all focused on trying to pay the bills and trying to raise the boys and Lindsey was trying to finish school
And it just got to the point where we spent so much time either at school or at work, and then it was kind of like, here, you take the boys so I can go and do this, or you have them so I can go do this. And it just seemed like we never spent any time together. And so the cracks just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until we were living completely separate lives. With Chad also, when, he would get home, it was kind of like a tag you're it. So I would get home and then he would leave, or vice versa. So we just never spent any time together. And there was a point too where he moved out, and it just almost seemed like, okay, well, this is just what it is, and it's doable, and I can do this by myself. And unfortunately, when you don't have your significant other with you, you look for other places, and it just felt like I had to do it all alone.
you're not helping them, you're hurting them. So it was just, she was definitely feeling abandoned, and she was tired, lonely, and I mean, that's just not the way that you want to make anybody feel, let alone your wife.
And for me, it just got to the point where I didn't feel like we were together anymore. So I felt like I was more so living as a single person and living that single life, and seeing people who would fill that void that I didn't have with Chad anymore. So when you start centering your attention on other things, then you no longer center it on, per se our marriage or trying to fix it, because I already felt like it was broken and something that we could no longer fix. So for me, it was more like just getting through the days and trying to be the best mom that I could, and focus my attention more on what I needed to do to get by, rather than what Chad was feeling or what he needed or how we needed to fix things, because I already felt like it couldn't be fixed anymore.
I mean, there was a point where, I wanted to try and fix things and was, trying to, and I couldn't anymore. So that I was, I was real, that was...
And I think that was your final straw, and I think that was the turning point, because you were so done, and so that's when you went and filed papers, and that was just felt like it was the end to the end.
In the midst of that, that was like one of the things that was hardest, that was when I first started trying to fix myself first. That was when I started really trying to understand what it meant to walk with God and do those things. And then that, even I think that was still hard all in itself anyways,
and then that made me more angry, because I grew up in a church home, going to church every Sunday, and that's something I always wanted for our marriage, was to go to church and to have a church family. And that was something that Chad, now that I see, was not ready for. So then
we didn't even talk about that
when we were in such a terrible state, and then when he decided to go do that, it just seemed almost fake to me. Like I was upset that out of all the times, that's when he chose to do that, was when we were at our lowest. But then in hindsight, I see that's what you have to do when things are so bad. There's no other place to look but to him.
We tried convincing her to do counseling with me and stuff, and she didn't want anything to do with it. So, and then even when she first started going, she was saying that it was just so that we could get along afterwards. So, but then we went and seen, I mean, our counselors were great.
I'll never forget the first time I went and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh girl, you are just a mess. We just need to see you, just you, for the first time for a long time, and then we'll work on you and Chad."
That's always encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She told me to leave.
She told me to leave.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there was a big turning point too, just with Chad and I felt like we needed to do it for the kids. That if anything, we have to keep it together for the boys. When ultimately, we have to keep it together for us. Like, we're the important factor, we're the foundation, we're the ones who keep it together, and if we don't have it together, we can't keep it together for anybody. And I just remember one of our counseling sessions, and Chad slid over and held my hand, and I remember that just feeling so good, like, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do whatever it takes. And there's still, to this day, it's just not easy. It's constant work every day to be just focused on us.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like when our counseling was, it's got to be between you and God before it can be between each other.
I'll never forget, Chad finally got me to come to a small group at Journey, and I wanted so badly to not go to Journey. Like, I wanted to find something or someone or some way to not go there, like some reason to not like it. And I remember him just saying, "Just come to this one freedom group with me." And the entire way, I just wanted to cry and just tell him, like, "I can't do this. We should just turn around. Like, we can't do it." And I remember walking in and Miranda greeted me and she was like, "I am so happy you're here." And it just made me feel so welcomed. And she shared her story and other people shared their story of just being so broken. And that was like really my rock bottom, and just feeling hopeful, just knowing that there's people who are rooting for you and want to see you succeed and want to see things work out. And I think that was our biggest improvement in our marriage, was going through that small group together and just talking and feeling closer to God and having and just recentering our marriage. Put Jesus in the center of your marriage and just in your relationship, because he heals. He heals you when you are at your lowest of lows and you feel like you can't get up the next day, or you can't go another day with your significant other because he doesn't understand, or he won't make you feel loved, because God knows and he has a plan. And even though you might not feel it, I know from someone who felt so much shame and guilt and just so much brokenness that I couldn't have done it without putting him first or relying on him. And all I can say is just to keep trying and to just keep working and just to keep putting him at your center, because no one else is going to fix it for you other than him.